The female menstrual cycle is pretty much our compass through day-to-day life. It is our navigation. It pretty much is our compass going through our days, weeks, months. And I feel like it's very, very important for females to understand that our bodies change every single day, hormonally change every single day. And it's frustrating, yes, it can be frustrating, but it's also a very, very beautiful thing.
Hi and welcome to another episode of Life Talk. Today I'm here with a real Cornish superhero. Her name is Zoey Wright. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good. It's nice to see you in your Christmas jumper.
Well, I actually had to get dressed before this because I didn't know it was actually going to be filmed, so I had just my pyjama top on. Yeah. So now I've got a Christmas jumper and Christmas earrings. So
yeah, you're living the dream.
And a Christmas tree in the background. So I feel like that's the theme I'm going for today.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it doesn't matter this is going out at Easter. That's fine. To be fair, I think many people are probably going to be having Christmas at Easter at this rate. So
yeah, delayed Christmas.
Yeah, so I think maybe if you just representing Christmas all year round, that's fine.
Fine by me.
and it looks good, so it's all good. How are you today?
I'm really, really good, thank you.
Yeah, how's life?
Life is really good, despite the whole situation going on in the world right now. My spirits are a lot higher this time round compared to the first lockdown in March time. Yeah, definitely. I feel like I headed into the last lockdown with a bit more of a schedule and routine, whereas the first one it was a bit chaotic.
Yeah,
I feel like everyone kind of felt that.
I think everyone's growing this year, haven't they? We've had to adapt and overcome some big challenges, and it's been a tough year. And I think I said it on a previous podcast, but I think at this stage people just need to be really proud of themselves just to making it through to this point, because unfortunately 100%. Many didn't.
No, so, exactly that.
Yeah. So for those that don't know you, I haven't seen you flying through the skies of Cornwall. You are a sponsored athlete.
Yes.
Check. You are a Pure Elite World Champion.
Yes.
Check, and we'll get onto that in a minute. And you are the founder of what I'm hearing really amazing things about, Empowered Women, which is a program we can speak about in a minute as well.
Yeah.
And that's all going well. All of that.
All of it's going really, really well. Yeah. I launched it in the first. Well, I almost created it in the first lockdown, and then it properly launched in the first week of August this year. But it was something that I needed at the time because I was going through quite a rough time. So it was a real good focus for me, and I wanted to give back to females. Everything that I've learned through my experiences. I'm an expert in my experiences, and I just wanted to share that.
Did you just say you're an expert at your experiences? Is that what you just said? I love that. That is my soundbite right there. Thank you.
Yes.
It's quite amazing actually, because the last time we got together was when we did an episode of the Shrimp Shed Sessions, and this Empowered Woman thing hadn't started yet. And I remember there's this lovely little line at the end where you say that you just want to help as many people as you can. And it's so lovely to see now that that's starting to happen, because I can say personally that if people are signing up to what you're doing, they're in really good hands. So,
thank you.
Well, thank you. I know what you're made of, man. So it's all good. But anyway, I said even that Pure Elite World Champion. Anything to report on that front?
So I'm going to be competing again in November.
Yeah, you are.
I haven't been on the stage in 4 years. So it'll be 4 years when I step on stage that I hadn't actually been on stage. So I've got to learn how to walk in high heels again. That's the hardest challenge. But I really want to. I've got some unfinished business there, and I felt like I was done with that. But the last couple months, things keep leading me towards there, and it's just itching as an itch, and I just need to do it. Yeah. So I've already signed up. I signed up literally 12 months away, just sort of committed myself to get back on stage. And, you know, I did my photo shoot after having my ostomy bag removed, and I thought that was enough for me. I just want to do a photo shoot, you know, to celebrate that I have no ostomy bag anymore. But now I want to go on stage without my ostomy bag. And that's what I really want to do.
I'm so proud of you. Well done. Honestly, that's that makes me really happy, because I mean, you might not believe me, but I saw it coming, because I know what you're like, or at least I'm getting to know what you're like. And I think that just had to be the path you took, didn't it? You had to take them slow pigeon steps, because unfortunately in your life, like, life's let you down here and there, and it must have been quite hard to trust that process, and even believe that the next disaster wasn't around the corner for you. So
this past year has been really challenging for me in many ways. I've had to face a lot of demons, and I've had to overcome a lot. Big shifts in my life, real big shifts in my life, personal life. And from that, I've got this sort of inner fury just to do something for myself. And I found myself again. I found my jam. I found my purpose. And that was, from the very beginning, was helping people. And I felt for the last 2 years of my life, I haven't really had that. I've just been kind of just going through life and not really knowing where I was heading. Whereas now I have a really clear vision of where I want to be. And it's taken a lot. I've had to be completely honest with myself, savagely, like completely honest with myself, and look at myself. And now I'm ready just to get back on that stage and do it and become world champion again. That's what I'm going for. I'm not training to lose. I'm training to win.
Honestly, God, you know, where's the tissue box? No, I'm genuinely very proud of you. You know, you've got a lot to offer in this world, and I'm loving hearing that you got your sense of purpose back. I'm a strong believer that purpose is the catalyst for all depression, really, a lack of purpose. And really and down days, you know. So having that purpose for yourself, not just others, helping others is wonderful and absolute must, but you got to look after yourself too. And it sounds like that's what you're doing. Which brings us round to our topic of the day.
Yes.
So I spoke to you the other day about what we we're going to talk about. And I think one of the things that I've noticed, I work with a lot of women. And in my early days, my training wasn't as good as it could have been for women, because I never had a fundamental understanding of menstrual cycles. I was a typical bloke. I would just pretended they didn't exist. And so I met a trainer in London named Dulcie Mahoney. She said, "Kid, come over here. I got to talk to you about menstrual cycles." And I was like, okay, cool. Let's do that. And she explained to me all of the ins and outs of it all, your follicular phase, the luteal phase, where the best points of for training was, where the period happens, ovulation. And from the moment she did that, it's like she gave me the key to being able to unlock everyone individually, because the incredible thing about it is menstrual cycles are very personal to each individual female. So taking that time to understand that was a game changer for me. But at the same time, I acknowledge that I'm just a mere bloke. So that's why I'm speaking to you about it. I mean, how much would you say that a female's menstrual cycle affects, and I'm not just talking about the gym, I'm talking about everyday approach to your day, week, month?
It is our core guide in life. It's our compass, and it's something that I have discovered in the latter years of my training so far, and in just life in general. You know, I was, from the age of 15, when I had my first boyfriend, I was put on birth control, and I was like, you know, that's what you need to do. Like, I don't want to get pregnant. I'm very young, and it seemed responsible to do that at the time, because, you know, I couldn't be bothered to look into the menstrual cycle back then and do the natural approach on it. I was like, I'm just a teenager. I just want to have birth control, stop these periods altogether, and go out with my friends and enjoy life. And it wasn't until I was around, how old was I? 2018. I started having really bad problems with my implant. So I was put onto the implant, and that completely stopped your periods. But I was having chronic
what
periods.
exactly is that for someone that doesn't know? I mean, just sort of.
So it's like a little bar in your arm,
Right.
and it's a progesterone based. It like slowly releases that hormone into your body, and keeps you in that constant state, so you don't go into ovulation, and obviously get pregnant.
Right.
Different birth control work different. There's different types of birth control. They all work completely different. So it's really hard to really explain how birth control screws your menstrual cycle up, because I'm not anti birth control. I'm sort of pro awareness with it now.
Yeah.
But when I first had my implant taken out, it did take me about 6 months to like really research and look into the menstrual cycle, because I was so petrified about going natural, going completely natural and off birth control, and using my temperature checks.
What scared you?
Just the thought of becoming pregnant. I wasn't ready to become pregnant, and obviously, from a very young age, you know, in school, we're not really taught much about like sex and birth control and the menstrual cycle. We're not taught any of that, and essentially, like going back onto the, you know, what you was just saying, in the sense of, you know, the female menstrual cycle is pretty much our compass through day-to-day life. It is our navigation. It pretty much is our compass going through our days, weeks, months. And I feel like it's very, very important for females to understand that our bodies change every single day, hormonally change every single day. And it's frustrating. Yes, it can be frustrating, but it's also a very, very beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I mean, what happens through the menstrual cycle is phenomenal. You know, I've seen all aspects of it, as you'd imagine, from having clients that are female, walking through the door, throw their gym bag against the wall, and I'm like, okay, thanks for the warning. You know, and it's just, you know, from a gym perspective, it's about understanding your capabilities, and what's fair to put on yourself at certain times in your menstrual cycle. There are certain times in your menstrual cycle where you'll be strong as hell. There'll be parts in it where you won't be. There'll be parts where you'll feel like you've got your emotions together, and there'll be parts where you won't be. There'll be parts where you just can't string a thought together, and you feel like you're potentially going a little bit crazy. I mean, this is
me right now.
And this is when I tap you up and say, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And you're like, yeah.
Should have looked at my schedule, but like, damn it.
I'm not able to talk right now. But I mean,
no, but I think this is what it is. I think a lot of women need to start tracking their menstrual cycles. Just start with tracking your menstrual cycle. Even if you're on birth control, there will be times within that month that you feel really good, and there'll be times where you feel really rubbish, and your training, it shows in your training as well. And I think having that awareness will help with your motivation and morale in day-to-day life as well.
Yeah.
Because I'll even, you know, it's completely changed my approach on training. And even with my clients, I always have that conversation. We first have a consultation, like, you know, where are you at with your menstrual cycle? Do you have a regular menstrual cycle? You know, how do you feel with your menstrual cycle, like certain times of training? And it's pretty much predominantly, everyone says the same thing. The week leading up to my period is the worst week of training. And some clients, before they start working with me, don't even realize where they're at with their menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
And then when they soon start tracking, and they soon realize, okay, I'm going to go into my last week of my cycle before my bleed. Right, okay, it's not going to be the best training, but I'm going to show up and do as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where I first started. And I saw a pattern in my training. And I used to plan my strength work, so my lower repetitions and higher weight, around my follicular phase and ovulation. As I go into my luteal phase, I'll strip the weights back and I'll go for a higher rep, or even skip the gym and have this R&R and just completely have that time to myself, to read a book, to have a bath, self-care time. That's what I call it, the window of self-care.
Yeah, and I mean, we have every intention to get onto self-care in a minute, but I noticed that, say, this is a situation that I used to see quite a lot before and after my understanding, and I was awoken to what a menstrual cycle was and how important it was. I'd see a female client come in through the door, all excited. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my jeans fit really well. I feel really good. You know, people are paying me compliments. My husband smacked me on the bum the other day. All these sort of like things that this client seems as positive. All these really great positive markers. Steps on the scales. Oh, and it's that external thing, that feeling of feeling good, but then that external sort of like, oh, I haven't lost weight. And I'd be baffled. I'd be there thinking, I don't know what's happening here, until I learned about the menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
You know, and then I understood that pretty much 2 weeks out of a month, it's borderline pointless doing any sort of measuring, any sort of, you know, weighing of any kind. And then again, even progress in the gym, you've just got to be kind to yourself and accept the simple fact that there is your body is in a certain phase, and these things are just not worth considering at that point.
No.
I mean, talk because I'm always often surprised by female clients, young and old, that don't understand or potentially are slightly prudish about menstrual cycles. Yeah. And I don't judge it. You know, it's you know, it's certainly not my place to do that, being a man. It's a slightly dangerous place to sit, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, talk me through it from the beginning to the end. Yeah, just sort of layman's, really.
Yeah, so your first half of your cycle is your follicular phase, and this is when your estrogen starts to rise, and this is produced in your ovaries, and then you go into your ovulation phase. So that's like the second phase. It's a very short window. You only ovulate between 12 and 24 hours, so you can only get pregnant for up to 5 days of the month. So 5 days prior to ovulation. So let's say Friday was your ovulation day. But if you have unprotected sex on a Monday, you can get pregnant from then. So there's only a small window, really.
And how long does that follicular phase last?
The follicular phase, it depends on the length of your cycle. So if we're going for textbook, 28 days, which only a very small percentage of women actually have, it can range. A healthy menstrual cycle is ranging from 21 days to 35 days.
Right.
But let's go for a 28-day cycle, just to kind of give you an idea. So follicular phase will last between 1 to day 14. Yeah. And you'll ovulate around day 14 or 15, maybe even 13, 14, 15. It depends on the individual. And in that phase, your follicular stimulating hormone will start rising. And then when you're about to go into ovulation, you will release a hormone called the luteinizing hormone, and this will release the egg. And your temperature will drop just before this. This is why I'll go into temperature stuff in a second, but then your egg will be released, and then obviously ovulation will or will not take place if the egg's fertilized. Yeah. And then after, in your luteal phase, that's the sort of progesterone dominant phase, and this is released from your corpus luteum. And this helps prepare your body for implantation. So if the egg was fertilized in that ovulation window when it was released, so it's that, in basic terms, that's like a little bit of a science.
No, that's perfect. No, that's perfect. I mean,
and obviously, I completely forgot the other hormone, which is testosterone. So us women around ovulation, we will have a rise in testosterone, obviously, for making babies and giving us that drive. So around that time, so you know, in that follicular phase, we are going to feel sassy, we're going to feel sexy, we're going to feel horny. All of the good hormones, okay? All of the good hormones. But going back to that first stage and then compared to the last stage with your temperature. So now I'm not on any birth control. I haven't been on any birth control since 2018 when I took up the natural cycle route. You take your temperature in the morning, straight away as soon as you wake up, don't even touch your phone, literally just grab your thermometer, stick it in your mouth, and then you'll see a chart. I've got a chart on my phone of where you are in your cycle. The first half you'll be like quite like steady, then you'll drop as your luteinizing hormones released, and then as your progesterone rises, you'll then go up in temperature, which also takes me onto your body temperature obviously being at a higher level, so a higher temperature, meaning probably around a week before your actual period, your bleed, you will be burning more calories. So 100 to 300 more, maybe 100 to 300 calories extra you'll be burning in that last phase. So the cravings come with that.
So that's not the time to have a deficit implied, is it?
That's not the time to start a diet, and
no.
That's another reason why you should be tracking your menstrual cycle, because you need to schedule that in. You need to schedule it in when you're feeling good, and you know that you've already done that 2 weeks of hard work at the first stage of the cycle, so you want to carry it on. But also with my clients, I also give them 100 to 300 calories extra, whatever they want, fats, proteins, carbs, normally carbs, around their end of their periods, so it stops them from going off the wagon. And I also do it for myself, and it does help keep you on track in that hard part of your cycle.
Yeah. I mean, what I want women to understand more than anything is that this is not an excuse. Yeah. This is not something that you know, these are actual facts. These are things that, you know, you are not setting yourself up for success unless you take these considerations into mind. And like you just said, you know, exactly that, you know, you're training really hard, you have 2 weeks, great session. And then the next week you come in and you try to do what you did, last week. And then you're really feeling your self-esteem's been hit, your self-confidence. Oh, I don't feeling very good about this. I can't do this. You know, and you're not giving yourself enough calories, all that sort of stuff. And then you just, that can lead to madness for absolute sure. I've seen it, in fact.
Yeah. I think when I realized that I couldn't train like a man, I made the most gains in the gym. Pretty much. When I realized I couldn't do an 8 block of training, it had to be a 4-week block of training, and I had to be clever and smart with my training and my approach to training and approach to my nutrition, that I started to really understand my body.
Yeah. That's been my experience as well. Like that teaching that I had early on, I was so grateful for that. So thank you, Dulcie. I was very grateful for that, because it changed my everything. You know, all of a sudden I just understood it more, and it was all so obvious. And now I get to the point where I can have a short conversation with, or even a text message. If I get a text message from one of my clients, I'm like, okay, I know where she's at. You know, so it's all good. You know, the amount of names I get called, wowzers.
I swear, all of my clients have just synced up. They're all, and they've synced up.
They say that happens, don't they? You know,
they've synced up with me as well. So we're all just emotional. Like one check-in on a Friday of a month, we're all just really emotional.
That's nice though, because you're all together on it, aren't you?
Yeah.
So speaking from a sort of mental health perspective, in order to help people with their self-development moving forward, ambitious women, no matter what it is they want to accomplish, whether it's just getting the school run done without shouting at your children, or whether it's getting that promotion at work, or, you know, getting on with a really good project in their life, no matter what it is, what would be your advice, considering both sides of your ovulation? You know, what would be your advice, mental health wise?
So I always, in terms of my work schedule, I always make sure that all of my social podcasts, anything to do with like being extrovert, like out there, sassy, wanting to get shit done, wanting to get stuff done. I always say, plan it for the first 2 weeks of your cycle, because you'll feel so much more confident. And I always feel near the end of my cycle, I get imposter syndrome, where I don't feel good enough, and I feel that I'm a fraud. You know, all them sort of self-doubt. The self-doubt rolls in, and it just kind of overwhelms you. And
what do you do about that?
That's the time where you have to listen to podcasts, listen to nice, chilled, relaxing music, read a book that's going to enhance your life, or just take you on a journey, like take you to a different world, a nice sort of fictional book, watch some movies, have a nice bath, like give yourself that downtime to get yourself ready for your next phase of productivity.
Yeah. I mean, that brings us on lovely to self-care, which I know me and you spoke a lot about. I've certainly, I've had to one of the things I see most often is I train a lot of mums, and their entire world is focused on their children, on their husband, on the dog, or the goldfish, whatever, there was a joke in my house for a while. When the goldfish died, I felt like I'd been promoted. So the one thing I always notice is that they've got it all together for everyone else in their family except themselves. I run a girls' barbell club, and if for some reason that has to stop, like, during COVID, their mental health suffers, because it's the one time a week where they give themselves permission to be themselves. And I mean, I always often joke and say it's like a prison gym, because the testosterone is rife around this. It's a female-only club, and I feel very scared. I feel like a prison gym. In the corner, like just watching, that self-care is so important, as you just said, that nurture, that self-parenting that you have that time to just say, do you know what, I'm going to take the dog for a walk, and I'm going to be as long as I like. I'm going to go for a glass of wine with my friend, and I'm going to be as long as I like. I'm going to
That's really good. I think where did I hear it? I heard it on a podcast, or I read it in a book about mothers especially, and it's you're not just a mum, you are an individual as well. You have your own personality, you have your own desires, you have your own passions, and allow yourself to have that, because to be the best possible mum, you need to also be the best version of yourself. And that's something that when I go into motherhood in a few years' time, I will remember that.
And it's hard. It is hard because being a parent, and obviously I can only speak from it from a male side, which I do believe is the easier side of the equation. I'm certainly not going to say any different. It's hard, and nothing really prepares you for it. Me and Caroline once, we sat on a beach, and we were watching this family in front of us and watching these kids play beautifully on this beach, and we were sat there, we were having a cuddle, and I was just like, you know what, I think I'm ready. She said, yeah, I am too. And we looked at the family and we were like, oh, that's so nice. and then a few years later, we've got 2 children, and we're sat on Gilly Beach, and I said to Caroline, look, this is that moment. What people don't understand is there's a couple behind us watching us, and they said, we've just been watching your lovely family, you're so lucky. And I was like, haha. Me and Caroline were like, we got them, because what they don't know is about half an hour before, we were banging the kids' heads together because they were fighting in the car, and one of them storms off this way, the other one wants an ice cream bite for him, dropped it, and it's like, it's just a long con.
You're really selling it to me.
There's so many wonderful moments, but what I'm saying is that being a parent is an absolute gift, and it's a wonderful thing, but it's really, really hard. It's the hardest job that anyone will ever do, because it's so important to get it right, and you always feel like you're failing no matter what you do, but it is so rewarding. Like yesterday I watched my son drop in at the skate park, and it was the best. Best. That's all it took, was just that little drop in, and I was just like, that's amazing. Today I watched him play rugby, and he scored a try just as the whistle was being blown. It was just like,
that's awesome.
It's amazing. And them little things, like, they mean the world. And so being a parent's fantastic, but it's super, super hard. So hard. And I think that if women aren't looking after themselves, mothers aren't looking after themselves, then they put themselves a step behind. And there's no wonder that some of them that I see feel like they're going crazy.
And I have so much respect for yourself, especially like working around the clock, and also being a father. And it's just incredible to it's incredible to think that one day I will be a parent. And
a good one,
I'm just,
sure.
Hopefully. And I'm just, at the moment, I'm just building myself up to that for the next couple of years. But for now, I am being selfish.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with being selfish. This is the word that I wish there was another word, because selfish has all
people
these
see it as a bad word, but you have to be. You have to be in life
you do.
sometimes.
And it's okay. It's okay. You know, like my wife, she's the best. And she comes up to me and she says like, oh, can I go out on Wednesday? I'm like, you don't have to ask me. It's just like, just go, just tell me, hey, here's the keys to the kids. I'm going out for some wine. Bye. And it's just, you know, that's okay. But it's like when we get into that point where they need permission, or they feel like they need permission, they certainly don't need it.
No.
It's like they've lost their identity. And that's why I talk about self-care. So what are some of the things that you do for your own self-care?
So I'll deload for my training, because obviously that at the moment that's all of my full frontal focus. I'll read a book. I'll watch a really soppy movie and cry. And you know what, like coming back to that self-care, and you know, when you do feel overwhelmed at certain times, even if you're in your follicular phase, if you feel overwhelmed with emotions, just cry.
Yeah.
Just let every single emotion just run its course. And that's something that I've learned the hard way this year, because I didn't do enough of it in the previous year, and it builds and it builds and it builds, and then so you need I probably cry about twice a week for self-care purposes. It might be a really sloppy, like little soppy video on Facebook, but just it feels so good to just have that release. But it's not all crying self-care.
I can just imagine it's in your schedule, like just crying. It's like, oh,
cry time. But it's, you know, it's doing stuff that makes you feel good about yourself. And I feel like that's very, very important, especially when you're coming into that, you know, your progesterone it's known as a chill hormone. So respect that hormone, respect what your body's doing, and just without sounding spiritual, like too spiritual, like just become one with yourself. Just always bring yourself back to your center. You know, even if that's just 15 minutes for the day. You know, just you've got the kids have gone to the school, and you just want to chill out and turn all the social media devices off, turn the radio off, and just peace and quiet.
Yeah, I mean that transitional, I believe a lot in transitional meditation, where you know, like for example, I might do the school run and then I've got to go meet a client or something, and you know, the school run was particularly stressful. Not putting the shoes on, arguing in the back of the car, not wanting to go to school, that sort of jazz. And you drop them off and sort of high speed out there, you know. And then I like to stop before I get to my client and just stop and just close my eyes and just breathe and just pack that away, so I don't walk into the next client with all that stress. And I think that, you know, it's amazing. Like you are like one of the hardest working people I know. You're always moving all the time, always trying to do different things. But what I'm loving hearing from you now is that you're actually taking that time to slow down. Because it's like anything, isn't it? When you're at home and you're rushing and everything just goes wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
We're all gonna feel it. Like I feel it quite a lot, and I'm very guilty of it, but feeling like I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
But you are doing enough.
You are.
And that's very, very important to remind yourself, like every time this is my day off, I don't really have much to do today, I'm gonna go for a sea swim later, you know, just on my jolly. And that's my self-care, like for the week. Give myself that time just to be alone. You know, it's okay to be alone with your own thoughts. I'm a very extrovert person. I love being around people, but then I also, on the other side, I love being in my own presence.
Yeah.
And just even go for a drive. Listening, I've got a women power playlist, okay? Guilty pleasures. I'll just stick that on and I'll just sing.
Love it.
And
Love it.
That's self-care.
Yeah. Not for everyone else.
No one needs to listen to
that. You're driving down the road, there's dogs howling, all sorts of stuff. Hey, listen, it's been wonderful to talk to you today. It always is. We must catch up more. We always say that, but we're both
definitely have to,
aren't we? So, but I mean, for what it's worth, I'll just finish with this. You know, you say that you don't feel like you're doing enough. From the outside looking in, you're doing a great job. You know, you really are. You know, you're working really hard. You're helping lots of people. What I'm really happy to see in this moment is how much you're looking after yourself. That makes me really happy. So, you know, you're in the right position to be a great role model or guiding light for people that need a bit of help. You know.
Yeah, thank you.
No,
thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate you welcoming me onto your podcast. I really appreciate it.
Hey, listen, why wouldn't I? I
Mm.
guess I've got a genuine superhero on here today. You're gonna go fly off over to Gilly and get yourself in the water.
Get myself in the water, turn into mermaid then.
See what I mean? Like, your CV is ridiculous. Listen,
I
Zoe.
say sea swim, but it's a dip in the sea, okay? It's not actually swimming.
Oh, hang on. Don't backpedal. Wait, no, stop it. You're ruining it. Hey, listen, just finish up with letting people know where they can find you on social and any projects you've got going on.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram at Zoey Wright Fitness, and also on Facebook to search Zoey Wright. I have a YouTube channel if you want to kind of watch like my journey so far. I haven't really posted much on there at the moment, but in the new year I hope to continue my YouTube ventures. And if you want to know more about the Empowered Woman and what we have going on, join our Facebook community page. You'll find it Empowered Woman Health and Fitness community page on Facebook, and on Instagram it's Empowered Woman Fitness. Oh, that was a long sentence.
Mate, you're smashing this luteal phase, man. You really are.
I
know. Just to finish up and say that your journey is very unique. All the stuff that you've been through is all on your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and
it's all of that.
When I first got to know you, I did a bit of a binge watch and watched all your stuff, and it's insane. There's also the Strength Shed sessions that you did with me.
Yes.
That you can find out. Zoe's story is really inspiring. I encourage anyone to look at it. It just shows you that if you don't give up, you can really, you can't just be okay. You can really, really prosper in life just by not giving up. So thanks again for being on, and I will see you again real soon, I'm sure.
See you later.